Hi there, I'm Jen, this is Remembered Reads, and this is my first ever BookTube video. So since it's the first video, I thought I would do the new to BookTube tag, which was originally done by Between the Chapters, which I'll put a link below. I obviously wasn't actually tagged because I'm new, but I thought this would be a fun tag to be doing. Question number one, where are you joining us from? I'm in Texas. I've lived here about a year, my husband was transferred here. And we are originally from Toronto. Number two, how old are you? Old enough to know better. Number three, why did you join BookTube? Because I've been watching videos and not really commenting much, because on other kind of social media platforms where I have been doing content, I like looking at seeing what other people are saying on their own platforms, and sometimes it's just a comment without a person behind it, and that's awesome but I'm always curious about what's there. So I thought if I'm going to be more active commenting, it might be fun to have a few videos out there. So number four, what is the meaning behind your channel name? I went with Remembered Reads because I was thinking it might be interesting to sometimes look back at things that I read less than recently. So maybe 6 months ago or 6 years ago or something along those lines. I'm not sure how easy that's going to be, so I don't know how much of that I'm actually going to do, but I liked the name, so that's what I went with. Question number five, what types of books do you read / want to talk about here? I read a lot of historical nonfiction, especially about the First World War. That's kind of my pet topic. I read a fair number of fantasy series, usually sort of military-inspired, lengthy ones, as well as when I'm feeling homesick, I read a lot of sort of literary fiction that's about immigrants from Toronto, because, yeah, that fulfills my little homesickness thing. And I read a lot of graphic novels, and pretty much across genres. I don't have a strong preference for one style. Like, number six is, who are some of your favorite authors? That's a tough one, because if I needed to pick authors that whose work I don't have huge complaints about, it tends to be people who died before they hit their mid-30s, so there isn't that much to choose from, and I don't know how much of a good answer that is, because I think sometimes it's more interesting if authors have bad work that you can complain about, but then it's like, are they really my favorites anymore? I don't know. And then if you go with some of the classics, then you think, well, a lot of their terrible work is probably lost to history. Or if you're looking at the ancients, it's like how much of their work was actually by one person and not by committee or the society and so forth. So that's kind of a non-answer, but that's my answer. I try not to have favorites because then you become more disappointed when they either die or write something horrible. Question number seven, what's the last book that you read? The last book that I read was The Crimson Campaign by Brian McClellan from the Powder Mage trilogy, which is fun. Question number eight, what are you currently reading? I'm reading M.G. Vizinji's New Land, which I feel like I read before, but I'm reading it and I don't remember it, so maybe I didn't. And my current gym reading is The Autumn Republic, which is the third book in the Powder Mage trilogy. And I'm also listening to the audiobook of George Eliot's Middlemarch as what I listen to when I'm jogging these days. Question number nine, what do you use for bookmarks? I tend to use receipts for bookmarks, either that or somebody's business card if they've handed me one. Number 10, shows your current TBR pile. I don't really have one, I just pick books based on the moment. So I do have a pile of things that I haven't read, which I might as well put in a haul video, because I think most of them are things I bought recently, because I've had been shifting more to ebooks, so I just sort of bought on demand, but I discovered Book Outlet a couple of weeks ago, so I just bought a bunch of stuff. So question number 11, which do you prefer, hardcover or paperback, ebooks or physical books, owning or borrowing? All things being equal, I wish I were more of a minimalist, because I think ebooks are fantastic. Because, I mean, if you're traveling, you can have 100, 1,000 books on you, essentially, and just have your little tablet or e-reader or whatever you use. Unfortunately, I seem to be more of a pack rat, so I have books, and these are a fraction of them because a lot of my books are actually in storage back in Ontario. So and I've been trying not to buy them while we're here because we've been moving every couple of years and it's a kind of a pain to box everything up. But yeah, I've surrendered to the desire to buy more. So I wish I were more exclusively into ebooks, but unfortunately I can't seem to give up the physical things. As far as hardcover versus paperback, I don't have a strong preference. I mean, paperbacks are lighter, so they're better if you're reading when you're commuting. Hardcovers hold up better and they look better if you're going for a certain kind of aesthetic, but I think they each have their place. And number 12, what book or series got you into reading? When I was fairly young, someone gave me a gift of a box of illustrated classics. So they were simplified and had the larger text and all of that, but they were printed in such a way that they were all, 200 pages long and looked like actual books. And I think they were technically designed for a slightly older age than what I was at the time, but they were still clearly children's books when you opened them. But because they had the look of the actual books, as a kid, people would see you reading that and be very impressed. And superficially, I thought, that sounds good. I should always be walking around with a book. I think that led to everything else. So question number 13 is, how did you discover BookTube? And I think it was a few years ago. I was looking for shelving ideas because, as I said, we move all the time. So I was looking for a way to mix it up. And at that point, I had a lot of different styles of shelves together, and it didn't look good. So I was looking for ideas and came across bookshelf tours. And even though they weren't exactly what I was looking for, I just kept watching them, and that became one of my regular YouTube searches. So yeah. Question number 14. What challenges do you think you'll face with your own channel? Right now I'm thinking technical ones because I'm using an old work webcam for this, which is not the best technology I could be using. And also the room that I'm in has terrible acoustics because it's a huge raised ceiling and it has a skylight, so the lighting is also not great. So I think technically I should try to improve. Question 15, where else can we find you? Link up. I do have a Goodreads account. I just started a book-related Instagram account, and I have a very non-related toy and doll review blog, which if you're curious about, I can link below. And that was the tag. Awesome. Since I'm new, I shouldn't be tagging anyone, but if you're new, do the tag. It's fun. And thanks for watching. Ciao.